also included are the proven outcomes and such that my esteemed colleague pointed out. So I guess it's 2 years and 1 day ago, I was hired by the University of the Sciences, specifically the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy, as the Director of Assessment with 3 main goals. So in 2017, May 2017, 3 main goals. We have an accreditation visit in October of 2017, no pressure. We're gonna launch the competency-driven curriculum in summer 2018, no worries, right? The co-curricular program needed to be in place for the accreditation visit, let me add that. And can you highlight best practices in assessment and drive that across the campus? So I almost ran out the door. But then one of the very first things I needed to do was define an assessment system that we could partner with. Because the assessment systems that I've used in previous roles at different universities have always been a partner for me. Because we were always faced with challenges. And so those challenges are real for those with the boots on the ground. You have to be able to meet those challenges, exceed them in many cases, and ultimately this affects student and faculty lives and the livelihood of the institution. So I took these very, very seriously. And so what we want to show you today is what we did very quickly with our CLL backward design sort of project here. So it was a project that was done in real time with real challenges that we were being faced with. And so these are essentially the challenges that I think many institutions have. You have program outcomes and curricular mapping. Whether you have an accreditation agency that you subscribe to or have to provide evidence for or not, I mean, ultimately, institutions of higher ed are being held to a higher standard of producing outcome data, even for admitted student days, right? So it's very important. So we needed to pull together the co-curricular, curricular, and experiential aspect. A pharmacy program is a very robust 6-year program, which includes 4 years of professional studies. And it includes a lot of experiences in various aspects of pharmacy. When you think of a pharmacy, you might be thinking of just a CVS pharmacist, and I hate to use the word just, but that's kind of what we are usually seeing. However, pharmacists are very much involved in healthcare today, medical institutions, you have ambulatory care units, you have hospitals, and so these folks are very much involved with the level of care, you know, all the way through the life trajectory. So it's really important that they have a robust skill set. We had to link key signature assessments, both internal and external, to this assessment management system. And some of the other tools that you saw in the bigger diagram, testing software. So ExamSoft, Insight Assessment, and then our learning management system were all integral to pulling data, you know, in order to really frame the CLR with authentic assessment. And then it needed to be transparent. So faculty needed to see in real time how are they performing. And we do use a course evaluations solution that AEFIS provides to allow that level of data, and I'll tease that out a little bit better later. We needed data around student outcomes from assessments that are within the course and external to the course. And then we also needed to, you know, actually get faculty feedback. How did the course go? Did it go the way that we expected? And so that's when we were looking more at the implementation fidelity aspect. So in order to get you into the system right away to see what, you know, what that backward design, what did it actually look like? And if I must put this in full screen, my friend, I'm going to ask for attention. There we go. Okay. So what you see here is what the student would see as part of the CLR. Okay. And so you can see that you can sort the CLR or you know, in various ways. So I can sort it by the different outcomes. I could show my accreditor outcomes, and clearly my accreditor could come in and take a look at, you know, different samples of work, or they could look at the aggregate. I could select it by term, and notice that I have a spring term, I have a co-curricular that runs for the entire year, so I could just look at co-curricular activities completed by the student. right? And so we have essentially 4 pillars of our co-curricular program that are aligned to the standards. Specifically, we're looking at things that are very hard to assess, like leadership, civic engagement, and etc. Professionalism, that's the hardest one. And then I can filter, the view as well to just outcomes or learning experiences outcomes. And of course, export CLR and, the connection to different social media channels. Within here, you can see that everything that was brought through courses, all those courses that I talked about, the co-curricular experiences, all show up because they're tagged within our curricular map that we built on AEFIS. That was actually the very first thing we did, was put the program map into AEFIS and link the co-curricular. Before that October visit in 2017, that was done, and we did a full demonstration of what our intentions were in assessing the competency-driven curriculum, starting with the co-curricular, and we actually had some data in place. And you can see that the work is going with the student. So they are the author of their own work products, their evidence. And so they're being scored by faculty who are experts, right, in the field, or their preceptors, the folks that are out in the experiential aspect of the program. And they're getting feedback based on our rubrics, our internal program rubrics, and then our specific rubrics linked to criteria within the curricular map. And so when a student submits something, that article or that artifact stays with them. So whatever that article or artifact is, it could be a presentation, it could be a SOAP note, it could be a lesson plan if you represent an education program, it could be a design sequence within an engineering program, whatever that is, it will show up and stay with that student. So all the different pieces of work, the evidence will show up here. And as I said, it's linked within, and it should show growth. So the idea is that you're going to be assessed on 2B in a variety of different contexts, and that you're going to see growth over a period of time. The student will have this as a record that's validated, but then if they decide that they want to show, potentially they're going to go to an ambulatory care job or career after their 4 years of pharmacy, they could just show their ambulatory care evidence and the specific feedback that went along with that. So you could customize it. And they could also bring things that aren't necessarily in the CLR if that was something that they chose to do. So this is where we wanted to go, right? And a lot of this was visualized, right? I had to sort of say to my faculty, because they own the curriculum is the purview of the faculty. My colleague and I that I just met this morning, we talked a little bit about the importance of knowing that the faculty own the curriculum, and they designed the curriculum. It was my job to help them realize or operationalize what that was going to be like and what the assessments were associated with that. And so with that said, yes, sir. Yes, I will go back.
CLR, so the dashboard, what the student dashboard might look like.
Oh yeah, sure, that's a great idea. So let me exit the CLR, good idea. And so like the student dashboard, you can see like these are a series of courses that they're taking, with the syllabi. That was actually one of the olive branches for the faculty. Faculty dislike very much, I won't use the H word, but dislike very much the syllabi. They dislike it, but they need it. It's not going away in higher ed. I remember telling Mustafa, it's not going away. We have to use it. You have a solution. Let's embed the program outcomes into the syllabus. Then it's very transparent for the student, and they're linked to the specific map, right, within the curricular map. So all of the students, you can see this document here would actually take the student right to the syllabus. And it's standardized in many ways because the faculty voted on a template that they liked, and we created that template in AEFIS. It's exportable into a PDF should they want to, but this is, essentially the living, breathing document of the curriculum. And so that's all here. If they had any surveys that they were doing for their course evaluations, that would show up here. They also have an action items area, which would actually show all of this. I don't know. Anyway, that one. There's a comprehensive learner record, and honestly, I could also go and look at all the completed assignments, and given that this is the end of the semester, they would actually show up here, or show up as assignments to assess, to submit. So these are all here within the student dashboard. It's pretty clean. Students know right where to go, and if they have to submit something, they're able to submit, and they get an email letting them know hey, you know, you have to submit. And we actually customize that email and customize reminders for students. But they're pretty good. They know they have to submit it. They're not good at due dates, but we work through that issue. I'm going to move from there and just kind of show you some of what it would look like if I was the faculty member and I wanted to look at the assessment results in aggregate. I would be able to look at, you can see that these were the only two that were teased out, that 2A, 2B, 2C. We have all these different subcomponents of basic patient assessment. That's essentially sitting within 2 there. And you can see 79% met the goal. And then with patient counseling, 74% met the goal. And these are benchmarked at a more foundational level for the first year student. And then we can ramp that up, obviously, when they go to the second and third year, right before they go into their full-time pharmacy practice, fourth year program, or fourth year of the program. Obviously, they're going to be at the highest level of expectation. Our accreditor says, how do you know that they're advanced pharmacy ready? And so we actually have to show them how we actually assess this. So this is really incredibly important. And, you know, again, it's kind of a similar look to what you saw in the CLR, but this, you know, sits within the course, which the faculty can get to right from a dashboard that looks very similar to what I just showed you before. Does that make sense? So let's drill in a little bit deeper, because this is the beautiful end result. So how do we actually get there? Well, we get there through a variety of different aspects and assignments. So I'm going to take you to the next level. So this is a very large 25-point rubric. What's nice about the way we bring this together is that each rubric is individual. So it's in each line of the rubric can be pulled off and put into another assessment. Because, as I said, they're going to be assessed multiple times on descriptor / demographics and what prompted patient-pharmacist interaction. They're actually going to be assessed on that a lot. This is only in the first year that you're actually seeing it here. And what's nice about this is right off the bat, I can see who are my students at risk in this particular course section. Right away, I know that this is the student that we've got to look at. And we can look at other things too. We can look at test scores that are associated with that. We can look at how did they perform on a specific exam, soft exam that was given on or around this time. And, you know, triangulate the data in many ways. And most importantly, provide them learning support. Because we do not want to hold students back. We want to help them progress, but we need to do this in real time. And that was so important to what we were doing, because we were moving into a competency-driven versus a competency-based curriculum. Because in pharmacy, you can't go any faster. Your accreditor says you need to have a certain number of hours and certain number of practice sites in order to, you know, graduate and complete this program. So we can't go any faster that way. What we can do is we can stack different modules together and give experiences in between that will allow us to see how students are at various levels within the program. So this has been really a game changer for us. And you can see if I scroll through this, you know, and I'm scrolling through David User right now, where are the areas for improvement? Well, in here, the student omitted a complete section that was vital to this. And either they didn't understand how to do it, or they just, you know, completely forgot. Whatever it is, we can note, and that student gets that specific information. Even on that CLR, they could drill all the way down and see why. What happened? Here's another example where the student, here's a needs improvement. So he didn't necessarily forget to submit it, and he did some good things, and you can say, great job to include dates. You need to include routes of administration as well. That's vital. And that is something that we look at very early and pretty often within our program. So I can come out of this, and that's just one assessment that's sitting within here, and I can go back to my assignments that are within. Let me just relog back in. And you'll be able to see that when this logs me back in, I may have to just drill back into the course, which is no big deal. Oh no, brought me right back there. You'll be able to see that if this was something that I needed to bring in from Blackboard, I could absolutely embed or import that right from Blackboard, because we do have, thank you, the LTI connection, you know, with Blackboard. And so we have that set up within our Blackboard system. The faculty member very easily creates the assessment within Blackboard, and then essentially pushes it to AEFIS here, and they can tease out the rubric. And they, you know, the sophistication of an assessment system far surpasses, you know, the LMS. I don't have to probably sell that at this point. If you're looking to look at, you know, specific data, you know, it's been our, you know, work and sort of our experience that we needed, you know, a deeper dive into the data here. The other thing that I wanted to show you is this basic patient assessment. So I remember I was talking about, you know, patient assessment, and that was in category 2 of our curriculum. Well, there was also an assessment, and there were specific questions that were associated with 2C. And so that data is brought in here, and we're able to bring it in from ExamSoft through an Excel, very simple integration. And we bring that in, and then we go into the assessment linking. And I did, you know, this, you know, during this course this spring. It will load the data, and the data is going to show that different mappings that happen according to criteria that was sitting on the rubric, and then those, you know, essentially the questions associated with the specific area that we were looking at, which was basic patient assessment. So within here, you can see that I can actually map, and I'll go to one, not to make you dizzy, that because I didn't do any ones, right, you saw earlier. There's all these items. So here's criteria 3, and it's linked to this particular 2A, and this is the learning outcome. Students will observe and perform a medication history, etc. All right, and that was one of the key items within that simulation assessment that you saw. All right, and if I keep scrolling down, there's 2B, and these are all different criteria that are sitting within criteria 9, 8, and 7 were all linked as part of this, and these were all equally weighted. There were times where we wanted to change the weighting because there were certain things we were looking to emphasize, and you can do that as well. And there's that basic patient assessment that I showed you that's brought in from ExamSoft, linked within the program map too. So now I'm looking at not just the SOAP note at this point, I'm also looking at an ExamSoft assessment that was brought in so I could see everything. As a director of assessment, this is a dream. All right, but it, you know, the juice to me was worth the squeeze of actually working with the faculty and making sure that I was operationalizing the curriculum that they built. I didn't add any, you know, funny stuff to that. Yeah.
Just a little curious about what you're pulling in from Blackboard and how uniform faculty are in either their assignment descriptions or grading. Because, you know, what I find is faculty grade books in the LMS are all over.
Yes, they are. We actually have a...
How are you accounting for that?
Well, first of all, let me say this. We actually have a standardized grading system within Blackboard that the faculty voted on and they use. With that said, because you're giving a point value for each of the criteria, right? This is a 1 to 5 or 0 to 5 or 0 to 4 point value. The faculty make it worth a certain number of points and they weight it appropriately within the course. And they can actually push the grade right to the grade book, and they can show it by points, and then you can also display it by grade. I don't know if you want to drill a little deeper in that, Mustafa, but that's essentially how they do it. As far as standardizing, when you think about what they're trying to do, they're looking at 11 competencies that are in the specific pharmacy, doctor of pharmacy program. And everyone is about collecting key performance data around those 11 competencies. The faculty bought into it, it was their curriculum, and they've bought into a system of grading. So they have scored on rubrics that were developed and then vetted by the faculty teams. Our curriculum committee essentially voted on these, approved them, or pushed them back for more feedback. So they own these things. So it's been a pretty good...
How many faculty only courses?
Sure. So we, in the Doctor of Pharmacy program specifically, we have about 150 students per year in that program. We have right around a 50 to 55 full-time faculty. We also have 3 different departments technically. The one department that is a little bit more, shall we say, kind of fixed in their ways, I'll use it that way, are the folks that do a lot of the pharmaceutical research. Right? They're our Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences. And so they are faculty who have tenure, and they focus on a lot of the grant money and their patents and such. So that group is a little bit difficult. But let me say this, the Doctor of Pharmacy program is integrated. So we have in every course a Department of Pharmaceutical Science faculty and practice faculty working together. So that's been helpful too, because the workload is shared. So that actually helped a lot. So the design of the curriculum and the design of the faculty governance really helped a lot. Overall, in this particular program, in the particular university, we're very small because we're health professions specific. So I think we hover around 2,600 plus students. So it's smaller.
John, let me add to Suzanne's comment in another way. So, for example, they're a Blackboard school, right?
Mm-hmm.
With our partners who are Canvas school, we can read the specific rubrics that, so faculty can map their own rubrics if they chose to the rubrics that are program-wide accepted or agreed upon. So there's I see kind of like there's few pathways for our partners to follow here. AEFIS can store and manage rubrics in a central library that everyone can pull from. So there are some partners who like that organizational kind of arrangement, right? But there are others who want to allow faculty to use any rubrics that they want, and then in return, just create that what we call linking. Actually, that's all the faculty have to do. If I'm using, let's say, Canvas, very successfully, all I do is I do linkage between the assignment in Canvas to being evidence to a specific curricular map. And so in that case, I think that it offers the kind of both options where it's kind of faculty driven, but it's still reported at the program level. So we can roll up this information and report the outcomes for the program and then roll it up to the institutional level.
Yeah. I know we have a minute, and actually less than a minute. This is very quickly, these were actually brought in from the program that was designed and brought into the actual course. So you can see co-curricular, we have our ACPE standards, and then our curricular standards all linked and mapped in the system. Again, that was the hardwiring. I guess very, very quickly and lastly, and we have used CRLR as a formative and a summative assessment tool. If I just go back real quick, what you actually are seeing here is formative assessment on blood pressure, right? Specific areas of growth. This is the same student before and after, pre and post. So the students get the feedback and they get the particular information, and you can see they were given an area for growth on disease state education in the first time they did the blood pressure, and the second time they did it, they actually met the expectations. What was happening in the actual background is that we were actually able to provide learning support drilled in to the specific area of growth for the students. And so that has made such a difference. We can reassess them, we can give them coaching, and it could be, I have right now, somewhere around 120 students in the P1 year, because the first year of the competency-driven curriculum, we decided to go a little bit smaller. There's a percentage of students that essentially fall, somewhere around 10 to 12 students that tend to fall in the learning support pretty regularly. And so we have to work with them one-on-one, and we see tremendous growth when we're able to give that kind of information. But I'm just very proud to say that the outcomes of the CLR model in our first year of implementation with both AEFIS and our competency-driven curriculum, all P1 candidates in the first semester of the Doctor of Pharmacy progressed, as compared to the last 5 years, where we start to lose. And that's a really, because you think about it, that's happening after they're essentially in their junior year of college. And you know what happens when you get to your junior year of college. It's very, very difficult. Not only that, it's a rigorous first year pharmacy program. So that first semester is critical. So they're not used to a lot of things. So that was gigantic for us when we teased out the data. No program probations at all. We actually, our Dean's List earnings were 70%, which was huge. The students are doing extremely well. We were able to design real-time coaching linked to the performance on the assessments, make changes in the curriculum using course evaluation, assessment data within the course and extrinsic to the course, and faculty self-assessment. And we were just recognized as Award for Excellence in Assessment by American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy. So if you're going to Chicago and you like pharmacy, we'll be there in Chicago presenting.
With your help, we'll win the Learning Impact Award.
So that's all. We're around today. We're happy to connect with you, but I know we have lunch, right, Sandra?
Yes, we do have lunch, and it has been, unfortunately, because of the wind outside, it's been moved inside to C4, F, GH, or we had breakfast.
Thank you very much for your attention.